son. Where'd you find this?
That's how you know somebody doesn't respect you. They listen to reply, not to be understood. They cut you off. They minimize what actually matters to you. They laugh at your boundaries, and then they call you sensitive when you try to hold the line. They show up late, they cancel last minute, forget the things you've told them, because in their world, your time, your energy, even your voice aren't a priority. They're just an option. You see, there are two kinds of people: those who adjust when they realize they've actually hurt you, and those who expect you to adjust so they don't have to change. You don't need to be disrespected loudly to be disrespected deeply. Sometimes you'll see it. It's just in their tone, in their patterns, in the silence after you're known. Respect isn't what they say when they're watching. It's how they act when they think you'll tolerate it.
The flow insane, take my spot, so the range. Shoot my shot with perfect aim. 3rd degree, that perfect flame. Ain't no sleep, that's the game. Oh, so southern, that's the slang. When they see me, that's the main. Chasing checks and fly like planes. Big old stick, I bought a cane. Flick my wrist and bought the ring. I'm so boss, we're not the same. Paid the cost and kept the change. Now I'm walking Hall of Fame. And I reside in the cloud. Grand wishes with these bitches. Taking pictures with the crowd, and I'm out.
Peace, blessings, glory, praise, and honor to the Most High. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. I hope all is well with everybody in attendance. Shout out to my poets, writers, content creators, singers, rappers, all that. I hope you enjoyed your weekend. I hope this week has started off the way that you want it. I hope you finished the way that you started. You see the title. I got a clip. I have multiple, but I think this one suffice. Yeah, by far. I don't see why we can't get this job accomplished with this particular one. Do me a solid. I have to send out something real quick. My apologies. I actually thought I sent this out correctly to the people, and apparently I didn't. So I gotta spin back on this real fast. Yeah, y'all pretty much already know what this is about, though. If you're not familiar with it, basically, quick recap: the brother goes around harassing black people. He's made a pretty good lifestyle out of it, apparently, and I think this shit just come and bit him in the ass. So the irony. What I'm about to do is, because I gotta resend these links out, I'm gonna get my folks up here. Shout out to them. I just got hit up by Sid. I gotta go back in here and find this. Do me a solid. Repost, share this out to the people if you wouldn't mind. Let me see something here. I should have double checked. This is on me, you know. I thought I updated this. Apparently I didn't. So I'm gonna resend this out, and we're gonna get this show rolling. I want to know what y'all thoughts is. Matter of fact, let me bring this up here too while I'm at it. Let's see. Which one do I want? I want this one, and I want that up there. We're gonna cut up. Hold on a minute. Hold on a second. The enemy is a lot. The enemy is always messing around with me, trying to stop me from doing what I'm doing. But we're not. Hold on. All right. I sent it out again to everybody. I see Max. All right, brother. My bad. I'm gonna bring you up here on the big screen. I gotta let everybody else know I got them. Once you're ready, bro, you got your camera and everything straight. I'll bring you up. Let me get to see it. All right, I see Rob. All right, let me bring Rob up here. Yo, what up?
What up, though?
My bad, man. I should have double checked these links when I got in front of this laptop. What's going on, bro?
It's all good up.
There.
Max, what up?
All right. Sorry, the audio was being weird. It only came through the phone at first. Hello? Is anyone alive out there?
All right, we can hear you, but I don't know if you can hear me. You might have to log out.
I can hear you now. I couldn't hear nothing before. I was like, what is going on here?
Gotcha.
No, I did. No, that's what I did. I got out. I think because someone called me. It interrupted the flow. So even though my audio says the Bluetooth, the phone was registering on the live stream, I guess. It just took regular phone audio. I'm like, nope.
Gotcha. Well, I'm glad y'all could make it, man. Been sitting on this clip for a minute. This is a different one, but it's pretty much covering the same thing. We got a lot to cover here. Sydney, I'm definitely gonna let you get your bars off. Ladies first, as always over here on this side. But I hope y'all enjoyed your weekend. To the people that's in the building, this is going to be an interesting one because I'm not going to say too much. I'm going to let the clip speak for itself. And we're going to jump into this real quick. Let me rewind it. All right. Hold on.
Chud the Builder will be fine. He will not go to prison for the rest of his life. He'll be out easily and he'll have no issues beating these charges, is what I would say if I was delusional.
They taking you to jail.
Chud the Builder, a man I had no idea existed 72 hours ago, is now sitting in prison with a $1.25 million bond for attempted murder. And I haven't really seen anyone celebrating this. Like, everyone's been really calm about it. Really sad that such an upstanding citizen is no longer a part of civilized society. By way of background, Chud the Builder is what people call a nuisance streamer, and it's literally what it sounds like. They go out, they harass people, they annoy people, they say literally anything to get that person to react. And by harass people, I mean black people. And by say literally anything, I mean the N-word. If you don't know what happened, long story short, he approaches a black man in Clarksville, Tennessee, and he allegedly starts walking away, but says something like, "Are you gonna chimp out?" The man, according to reports, starts hitting him. By the way, we don't even know if that's what happened, okay? Have we heard from the victim since he got out of surgery? What exactly went down? Isn't Chud a streamer? Release the stream. That should answer any questions. But what we do know happened is Chud shot the man, and he also shot himself in the arm. Yes, he cheddar bobbed himself. Now, a lot of people online are saying, oh, well, it was self-defense. Was it? Here's my thing. You walk around with a gun and pepper spray on purpose. You go out and provoke people on purpose. You entice them on purpose. You want them to come at you on purpose so that you can shoot them. At least that's the argument the prosecution is going to make. But you know what, guys? You're right. If you are a Chud the Builder fan, I am probably reaching. I mean, it's not like there's tweets and videos of him saying that he cannot wait to harm someone. Oh, wait. It is going to be an uphill battle to convince a jury that he was justified in letting off multiple shots and shooting the black man, even if we take it at face value, that he was scared when he was getting punched in the face, I'm sure, right? But do you then pull out a gun and shoot someone and fire off multiple shots? I don't know. And there could definitely be someone on the jury who's like, well, if somebody was punching me, I mean, I would shoot them too. And that person could find Chud not guilty, sure. But I think it's also just as likely for someone, if you walk up to me with the purpose of provoking me and you get the reaction that you asked for, why do you then get to say, no, wait, judge, help me? If you wanted this, you got this. It's the natural progression of your actions. It's literally the consequences of your actions. I don't see how it can end anywhere else for these nuisance streamers. And I'm trying not to be a Karen about this. I just don't see how we can continue to function as a society where people get views for harassing other people who are just trying to exist. Like, beyond saying the N-word and what happened in this case, you could literally just be a mom going to Walmart with your kids and you're going to get harassed by a nuisance streamer and all of a sudden you're going viral. Like, so I don't know what needs to be done, but I don't see how we can continue like this, class. Anyway.
What a guy.
That's not that's not the clip I saw. I was like, I saw the different. I think I saw a different video about Chud. It was a guy talking, not the girl. But that's crazy. Sorry.
No, you're fine. It's funny because I had just been talking to friends about something similar because, long story short, I'm in a mobile game and we basically have an alliance and like we're into it socially and whatnot. And we just left an alliance run by somebody that had really bad emotional problems. She was always like complaining in the chat that nobody cared about her and she should just off herself and all sorts of crazy stuff. And so we left and now she's harassing us. And we had this conversation about why is somebody wasting so much time on a video game to basically cause drama and all sorts of stuff. And then also the trolls, like you encounter trolls. And we kind of had been talking about how a lot of these people just, they probably have a personality disorder. They probably have some sort of mental illness that makes them either highly reactive because they have no control over their emotions and they've just been exposed to really disturbing or cruel things about other people. And so that combination, and also there usually is a level of like entitlement where they just feel like it's their duty to harass people, like they get a thrill out of it potentially, and it's their way of like feeling a sense of power in themselves. And to me, that's kind of it makes me, that this video makes me think of that because it feels related. Like it feels like the same type of behavior, except instead of him being an online troll, he's an in-person, I'm gonna comment to you on the street type of person. And I mean, truthfully, he probably does this online too. But yeah, I think I think sadly there's a lot more people like this than we think. It's just not many of them have made the news yet. But it's definitely a personality trait that we'll probably see more often with how social media is and everything like that. So yeah, I think he definitely has a problem.
Max, you got the floor.
When you say he has a problem, we're talking about Chud, or I'm assuming we're talking about him, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if he has a mental disorder. That tends to be something that tends to be a scapegoat for some situations. And this is where racial stuff tends to happen when it comes to these well, lack of a better word, situations. I hate to be repetitive. Look, if he's starting trouble, if he's provoking people, and then he shot this guy, then there's no self-defense, especially if you have a history of doing that. Because the clip I saw, it showed that he had multiple arrests before, so it's not his first rodeo, going around getting in trouble. Like that eventually catches up to you, especially if you have repeated arrests, and then now you walking around with a gun and provoking people, especially people of color, and you're just adding fuel to a fire that doesn't need to be there. Like, I don't know why this dude has any momentum. I have issues with certain guys that I have issues with guys who are just arrogant and they still get spotlight treatment. And I'm just like, I hate that so much. It's so annoying. It's like, God forbid you're a decent dude and you want and you want a platform like that, but it tends to go to people who just act a fool and get away with it. And I know that vengeance belongs to the Lord, but sometimes it's just one of those things that grinds your gears, man. I don't know how that's gonna go down, but if there's enough momentum, he should probably be thrown into the cell for a while. I mean, there's more evidence that points to the fact that he didn't act in self-defense. He provoked somebody. He's walking around with a weapon. First of all, I don't know if that's even if it's legal. It's like, what are you provoking for? And then I know that people are gonna be like, oh well, why did the guy have to act the way he did? I'm just like, forget, like, consider this. Like, I know not everyone's gonna act the same, but like, why do you think off the top of your head that no one's gonna react to you provoking them in an unnecessary manner? Like, there's some people you just don't bother like that in the streets. Like, why are you doing that? Especially if you have a platform like that. You gotta be even more mindful of what you're doing. Like, it's not to say that people can do whatever they want, but it's just letting you know, like, we've all existed long enough to know that, like, you got to be careful in the streets. Period. Don't start trouble, because sometimes I learned that from a former pastor that he grew up in the streets. He said, like, I'm like, how do you trust that you'll be safe in, like, when you live in the rough parts of the city? He's like, just don't give them a reason to come at you. Basically, he said that, like, don't give brothers reasons, like, people. I don't know where necessarily this situation happened, but don't provoke people. That there's more evidence against him than not. So he already has a history. He walked around with a weapon. He literally was looking for trouble. Compared to what the guy did, this dude shot him. That's automatic. 10 years minimum, if not more. That's all I got on the matter so far.
Rob, you got it.
Peace, everybody. Yeah, when you look for trouble, you find it. And he had arrest earlier, and that is always the news and the government first defense when they do something like that. They got a mental illness, not buying it. Even if you got a mental illness, I know I work with kids with a mental illness every day. They are some of the kindest people, some of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. They have the best behavior, they're mannered, and they're actually, in a lot of cases, smarter than all of us will ever be. So I wouldn't call that a mental disability. I'd call that stupid. And what it shows is that they're protected. And the only difference now is that they have a camera and they're able to go around and film it. They are highly protected in this community. The president spews out hate every single day. You know what I mean? And he bought out the hoods. Now you don't have to hide no more. They don't have to hide their faces. He bought them out, and they feeling real confident. And the law shows that the assault on people of color is still real. It's 100% official, and it's happening in every state, especially the South. And in this case, where they probably shouldn't have let him go the first 2 times, he should have been banned from any kind of socials or any kind of filming when you're going up to people like that. And it also shows that a lot of times people of color are so compassionate. No matter what assaults, what oppression, what challenges we face, most of the time we are forgiving when it comes to them. We'll do anything to our own kind, but when it comes to them, we leave it in the hands of the Lord and the Bible and this and that. And I'm not promoting violence or whatever, but clearly if you're going around and you're doing this type of stuff and nobody stopped you before, then that's a clear sign of what's going on in today's time in these communities. And you're watching it, and you look at the federal people of color was fired. They've been getting fired. They redistrict the lines around the country. The governor here in Florida signed a new redistricting law, whatever, three hours after the Supreme Court did it. So I don't really know what's going on, but I know we're going backwards fast. And that camera is, it could either save somebody or it's going to get them hurt, because at the end of the day, you're not going to keep being able to walk up to people like that. There's going to be some people that's going to respond and you're not going to like it. And at the end of the day, that's not funny. So I don't know how they made him famous or whatever, but walking around like that, I don't even do the pranks like that. You know what I'm saying? The pranks are, there was one guy that was going around calling people boys. Jump, boy, jump, all in Walmart, this and that, jump. You know, I'm from the old era, like, all right, well, if we're going to do this is going to be scripted. I'm going to do this, that. Don't get too carried away. It's already scripted. We know what we're going to do. But on a random day, you walk up to the wrong person like that, you're going to get hurt. And at the end of the day, you know what? Again, you looking for trouble, you going to find it.
I hate this culture that we in that celebrates nothing but toxicity. The algorithm has trained people to move towards pain and ego and thrive off of sexuality and being overly misguided and misled under false pretenses that really serve no purpose other than to divide and to leave you in error or discombobulated, because a lot of people they know don't have any direction, no sense of self. So you're going to these platforms and you see this body of a person and they are invoking something inside of you that appeals to your nature or your your confusion of what reality is supposed to look like. And now what you have is a multitude of different websites and channels that perpetuate different emotions that kind of amplify what you already feel prior to you even being introduced to it. Like it's a real dark and demonic system that I don't think people really pay much attention to. Because all right, you got folks who enjoy wrestling, you got folks who enjoy boxing, you got people who enjoy toes and feet, you got people who enjoy red pill content, you got people who enjoy learning about electricity, and there's something for everybody. And that's not a bad thing. But what is a problem is when we are advocating for behaviors that ultimately get people killed, hurt, or cost you a chunk of your life that could have been invested into something more productive. And Rob, you're right. Sydney, you're right. Max, you're right. I'm not looking at him and saying, oh, he has a mental illness. What I think is he's one of them ignorant people who was raised to look at a certain group of people a certain way. He never unlearned that behavior. He knows there's a market for that online, and he's using it to make money off of it. In another clip that I watched, there was a GoFundMe that was put up to get him the bail, which was set at $1.2 million. He raised the money. He got the money. I don't know if he's out. That was a day ago. So he may be out. I know they were trying to stop it from happening. But it just goes to show you, it's like it's more than just, for me, it's more than about him. It's about men and women like him, because he's not the first person. There's others that do exactly what he's doing, which is why she called it a nuisance type of a trend. I never heard of that term before. But people really thrive off of this, and that's a problem. I don't know why. Rob, I don't understand it. I don't know why people put money in their pockets. Max, I don't know why we support stuff like that, especially when you have creators who speak uplifting affirmations. They pour back in the community. They try to give job opportunities to people. They try to teach you how to do things on your own, build from scratch when you ain't got certain things. It's like it's so much we could be pouring into. Instead, we give our energy to this. Shout outs to SM. I see you in the building. I yield the mic.
First, I just wanted to add on. Initially, I meant like a personality disorder, because those are learned behaviors. When you have a personality disorder, it's because of how the person raised you and taught you to handle your emotions. And people with personality disorders are far more likely to commit crimes. I know, I definitely recognize, I just want to say this, like, I recognize that people with mental disorders don't all, like, they're not all going to turn out to be criminals. There are people with really severe mental disorders that are amazing people, but and then of course the news always likes to scapegoat people with certain disorders as like, oh, they're schizophrenic, they must be a criminal. But I think with his types of behaviors, because typically antagonistic behavior is a sign of either like narcissistic personality disorder or what was the other one? There's another one. I just forgot the name. Oh, antisocial personality disorder. It makes people like really like to dig at people, and they get I wouldn't call it joy, but they get exhilaration from like enticing or inciting people. So that's why I was just saying that for him, because he definitely, like, the behaviors he shows are signs of certain personality disorders. And as I mentioned earlier, that is a learned behavior. So it would make sense because in a cultural, in a world where, one, we're getting far more divisive, groups are splitting up more and more because of everything that's happening. And so there's like an integrated population is necessary for racism and all of these things to decrease, because when you're separating populations, they don't have any exposure. And so they're just going to be going off stereotypes and what they see on the news. And we all know that the media twists everything. And so I think, one, intolerance is growing as a result of people being separated, and also we're all stressed out, and we all know that whenever people are stressed out, they're going to be more neurotic or whatever. So you also have that stress. That could very well have been an aspect, like a sense of anxiety inspiring the actions that he does. But like all of you said, I do think this is an indication of the unraveling of the kind of civil society that we supposedly used to have, even though I don't believe the media in that respect. But I definitely think that this is not an isolated incident. We're just not hearing of other people like this because he was filming himself. So he was putting himself out there. So it was going to grab attention. But other people probably do this privately. They probably act in similar ways. And it's a symptom of our system struggling. And also, as I said, separating.
Yeah. I don't know what else to say to all this because you made the point pretty much. Can y'all hear me okay? Yeah, okay. Because in my car I have an AC on. I want to make sure that's not loud. But you know what it is? It goes back to the fact that sinful nature or just anything negative is more, it sells more than positive things do. Like, yeah, there are a lot of positive stuff that works. I mean, if you look at right now, someone made a point. I saw this on Threads, and it had to do with Michael Jackson. And I was like, I think that's true. Like they say, it's hitting hard again that he's not around, especially with the movie coming out, is the fact that you look at, this was reference to music. Now I remember it, that he was like really the last real artist that spoke on things that mattered. Everyone nowadays does not talk about anything of substance, and it's very few that do. And if they do, they get thrown out easily. A lot of evil agendas are thriving more than they need to. This guy is an example of that. It's like also how people say, sex sells. And the thing is that it like anything else, it loses its value. People become desensitized to things the more you saturate the market with these things. So when you think about like what people find amusing, sometimes it's a desensitizing thing. Like there's some things that we probably shouldn't find funny, but because we got so used to something, or because you know it's a learned behavior that you got to like unlearn, like it goes back to you know sin existing in our lives, and everyone knows what that is. That, like, it's anything bad, even if it's small. So that existing sometimes could lead to, like, oh, you find certain things that are crude funny, like the pranks this guy was talking about, or like what this guy's been doing, walking around with a camera, seeing what reactions you get from people. It's one thing if you're doing like interesting pranks that are like, like the James Brown one where people, I mean, it's in their homes, but like people hide the speaker, and when the person opens the cabinet, they turn the music on. They're like, yeah, they hear that and they flip out, and something falls, and it's funny like that. But when when something like looking for trouble, the idea of it's the anticipation of what's going to happen that makes it amusing to people, and that's the part that doesn't get screened, because you're allowing people to thrive in an area that doesn't need thriving. You're continuing the problem. Like, there's a reason why a lot of people are kind of like trying to go backwards in a good way. For example, it's a small example, but like there's some people who are like, they don't like to use the iPhone anymore. Some people are buying flip phones again. Young people were on the news for saying, this is something that's positive, but I can see why, that they rather spend spend money on bulks of DVDs of shows or movies, because streaming is annoying, because streaming makes it harder, and then if the movie's not there, you're paying for something that you probably not even using unless it's something that you want to see. And because it's unlimited streaming, they're gonna make anything and everything. A DVD, you have it, you can watch it whenever, and it has content that probably wouldn't have been aired. You watch the original. If you watch Friends on the DVD, there are a lot of jokes on the DVD that were never aired. You'd be surprised how many jokes were cut out just because of time restraint. So my point being that there has to be a recognition of the fact that anything bad is being seen as good now, and anything good is seen as bad now, and that's actually biblical. That's actually part of what Christ spoke about, things looking like at this point in time. Like, this is a sign of the age ending. So if anyone who thinks of the end of the world, the Bible talks about, this is a sign of that time coming. Because why is this fun to people? There was a time where, like, David Chappelle said that what got the civil rights movement moving was the fact that Emmett Till, the photo that was released of his face after what happened, is what started the thinking of what is really happening here. Because it's one thing to hear it, it's another thing to see it. But when that's all you see, when all you see is something, you get used to it. Look what's happening since 9/11 to us. A lot of us are like low-key traumatized because we saw something at age 7 that we shouldn't be seeing. I know it was long-winded,
Hey, I'm gonna double back. I studied history, African history of people of color first. We already know there was colored people here all around the world doing businesses. There was doctors and lawyers. There wasn't just slaves. It was virtually impossible to bring all those people over here. They came over here and did that, took them, and then they shipped a lot of the slaves off from here. And I said that to say I studied Black history for so long, for about 20 years straight, to where I had to stop because I didn't learn how, I couldn't process no more. And I was angry 24/7. So when I want to say these points, I have wrote them down. When you look at the Bible, a lot of this is sanctioned in the Bible, and whether or not you should follow it or not, we know that the Bible was used to mentally program people to be okay with being suppressed and oppressed. And we know also in the Bible that anybody that went against it was called a heathen. And a lot of times in the Bible, they was ordered to death sent to their death for opposing it. And we know that in this country specifically, many days in many cities around the country, after church, they would go hang people on the town square. The same people that just finished reading the Bible. We know that when black people would go, they had to wear gloves in the church so that they didn't touch the same furniture. They had to sit upstairs. And then also, if anybody was teaching something different from the Bible, especially as far as literacy, a lot of times they were killed and hung. We also know that this is nothing new. When you look at Andrew Zimmerman, he did not get locked up for killing Trayvon Martin. And my whole thing with that was, okay, first you killed the child, so how could you feel unprotected? Second, you hear the dispatch saying, do not follow. Do not follow. Do not stay in pursuit. He should have got charged for breaking the law for that. That was first things first. He should have got charged. Chef, shout out CM2. Chef was just talking about the guy who got heckled in Europe. All he did was got kicked out. When you look at Jesse Owens, the Olympic runner, he ran all of those, got all of those gold medals, beat Hitler for them, this and that, beat the Germans, whoop-de-whoop. When he came back to get his awards, he was not allowed to go around the front of the theater to go inside. I can name case after case after case after case to where this stuff is normal to a certain extent, to where if we're looking at a mental illness, then he should have had better handlers. Because if you're mentally ill like that, then you need somebody to walk around and make sure you're not doing stupid stuff like that. Also, when you look at a mental illness, a lot of times you could view white supremacy as a mental illness, because clearly they have not taken over the world, and all their attempts to control everything have failed, even down to the Confederates. They respect the flag, they lost. So all of that, I gotta throw that mental stuff out the window. And the way I look at it too, he approached the guy. From what I'm just read, he approached the guy. When the guy did not respond how he liked, he drew back into a stance to pull his gun. So that's wrong, because I was told that if you can only shoot somebody in self-defense here in Florida, from what I was told by the police. And also, you cannot shoot them unless your life is in imminent danger. Meaning, if I got a gun on me and you come swing on me, I gotta fight you. You gotta pull a stick, or you gotta be choking me half to death before I could pull out a gun and shoot you back. You have to have something to where, if not, I'll get charged. If you just punch me in the face and I shoot you, I'll get charged. So how he's not charged from that right there, that lets you know that he's protected. And I'm in Florida right now, where the governor said this is the place where the woke come to die. I watched him take out the African history books out of the curriculum. I'm watching them banning books. I'm watching him cut out all of the programs that support diversity, equity, and inclusion. Any college or university that uses it, I'm watching them. And then on the flip side, they also cutting the mental health funds, but they're not cutting the gun sales or nothing. So at the end of the day, when we talking about what we talking about, we got to see that this stuff is lopsided. It still is. And the only difference is now you can get paid for it. Because even with you go back to Tulsa, the Tulsa riots were a total farce, where they said the guy assaulted a girl. He did not assault a girl. They were jealous about the operations. They was able to operate on their own. And that was the first case to where they even had farmer crop planes dropping bombs. They dropped bombs on their own country, on their own citizens for 3 days straight, because they did not like that those people were able to operate without their assistance and without their resources. And we look at it, every single black town that was thriving, where they had banks, hospitals, restaurants, barbershops, was burnt down. And then also when they integrated, that tore up the fabric of the black community. And again, now we got a felon in the office who is able to get all of these laws passed. And I don't just look at him because he's representing somebody. He's a puppet. He doesn't have all the power that he professes to have. But they're still protecting them and assaulting people who look and act like us. And that's wild too, because there's a whole debate to where I feel like there's no such thing as race. It's a concept that was developed. All of us is related in some kind of way. But it's a concept that says somebody is trying to take what we have. And clearly at the end of the day, nobody's trying to do that, because at the end of the day, this stuff would have been gone. So I feel you, Max, with the sin and all of that, the revelations. But if you look at it and you're really biblical and you're really spiritual, then the higher power or whoever it was would not be allowing stuff like this, because towards the end of the Old Testament is designed for you to be happy and peaceful, for you to create heaven on earth. So this stuff should not be going on. And I think that it's a big distraction from what's really going on. And they are grasping at straws to preserve what they started, which was a country for their people, rich people. Wasn't all inclusive, and they will not change the primary documents that this system was built on.
You said a lot, man. You unpacked a lot. I might have to give you a quick Don DeMarco. I'm gonna have to push back a little bit. I don't want to go too far off. I do acknowledge that a lot of what we are seeing is by design. Most of our communities are underwater or just burnt to ash. Lake Lanier is the first one I thought of. Tulsa was the other one. And I never saw race. I never believed in it. I believed in human race, but as far as, oh, you're supposed to be with this person or that person because of your complexion, nah, I don't care about stuff like that. But I think, and it's just my opinion, first of all, we got to tread real careful when we start to say certain things, especially when it comes to religion and spirituality, because some people have different experiences with it. And I don't know if it's based on being jaded or misinformed, but it's like, you figure it out for yourself. I will always look, if you want to know if this is real or not, why don't you go ahead and pray yourself? Why don't you ask for that response? Why don't you try to have that relationship yourself? And then you'll know for certain whether or not this is for you or not. I believe, just in my own observations over life, that there's just a group of wealthy men and women who figured out a formula. They sat down and he said, this is how we're going to destroy the rest of everything. They don't look at us equal. We are beneath all, we're beneath them. They are the gods of this world. And the people that will inherit this are their offspring. Their offspring, their friends, and associates. Anybody outside of that, you are going to be gone with the wind. Period. Somebody left a message on one of my videos not too long ago about Michael B. Jordan and the other brother being called the N-word by a guy who tried to use him having Tourette's as an excuse for blurting the word out. And he said, well, if you would have really did your research, then you would have known that he has Tourette's. What? I don't care if he has Tourette's or not. He still knows better. Like that ain't no excuse. And I knew it was a rage bait post. That's why I didn't even respond to him. I removed his comment. But all of this is by design. All of it. So when you see Sexy Red or you see someone like Chud the Builder doing what they're doing, they don't even realize that they're being used. Maybe they think they're on the right side of it. Maybe they think they're doing justice. But I don't know. It's a lot of ignorance. And no, it was not self-defense at all. None of that was self-defense. He basically was doing his job. His audience wanted to see it, and he performed. And now, if he did get out, he got 2 months to try to argue and finesse his way out of this. And I hope that the justice system actually does its job this time. Max, you brought it up. He already had prior issues to this. My thing is, how do people, and this is just general, how do people who are consistently in and out of the system getting so many second chances? Now, like if it's like small little petty stuff, I understand that. But things of this nature, no. You're not getting any type of real rehabilitation. I asked Sydney not too long ago about that. What does true rehabilitation look like for criminals? Is it putting them behind bars for life? Is it putting them in a cell with murderers and killers that don't equal up to the crime that you did? What do you do with people like this who get on the internet every day and they do nothing but try to cause mayhem for everybody?
Yeah, he did. I'm on the podcast, sorry. Yeah, if he walks away, it's going to, I don't know, it's really an indication of how far the justice system has been corroded. And not to mention, if it was a trial by jury, that also is a reflection on those people as well, and the community, because it's supposed to technically be a random sample. And if your random sample is, if they're all racist, it doesn't say very good things about your community. And I say racist because if they're really going to look at a situation like that and say that he did that by accident or something like that, when he very clearly has antagonistic behavior and a whole history of it, and he films himself doing it, he's comfortable doing it, it would just I can't imagine that. It was so blatant. I just don't understand how somebody could interpret that as an accident, or like, oh, I didn't mean to. I'm like, you voluntarily entered yourself into the situation. It's not like you were on your property and someone came after you. Like, you went up to people on the street regularly. I'm like, it's 1,000% a choice that he made. And I really hope the verdict reflects that.
Yeah, I'm with you, Cindy. Sydney, is that your name? Okay.
Yeah,
sure.
just like Australia.
Yeah, I got you. Okay. And what's your name, brother, above me on the stream up here again?
Robert,
What? Oh,
Rob.
Rob. Okay, so to respond to what you said, when I'm referencing Jesus's warnings about the end times, it's not a justification. It's to give you an indication of what you're seeing as part of that. And I know that you said like it he should not be allowing these things to happen. Um the simplest answer to that, because a lot of people ask, if God's so good, why does he allow these terrible things to happen? It goes down to the fact that people have choice. He gave us choice, and quite frankly, if he didn't, those of us who have good intentions would not even have a choice. We would be spiritually dictated under God, and that would be a horrible experience. And I know that life has proven, like, how could that be worse at this point? Basically, look, I'm telling you, if you think the dictators of the world were horror stories, imagine what God could do if he took away choice for us on a spiritual level. That would be a I that would be probably more scary than what life is now. And it's not to downplay anything, it's just to give you a perspective of the fact that, you know, that there are things um that we can't fathom what could be a million times worse. Hell itself is so horrible you wouldn't want your worst enemy there. Like, that's how bad it is. Now, um, he allows things because, one, evil exists in the world. Um, you're gonna have good and bad. Um, and he gave people choice, so that way we could freely choose him. Also, we could choose to do horrible things as well, and spiritually, Satan and his minions are behind that. They play the influence, but you know, it goes down to choice. This dude's choosing to be filming himself provoking people on the street for whatever reason. I don't know how long he's been doing this for, but you reap what you sow. I refer to the Bible because it's coming to life more and more. At least the parts that are relevant to our age and time. I know that things look like, oh, it's never ending, but remember, what time is to us is not to God. Like, his perspective is outside of our realm of reality in a way that looks different. So we're a second. Our experience is like a second compared to what he's seen from beginning to end. So that's why it's like, look, you're better off, to finish this point with that perspective, you're better off just having a relationship with Christ and just helping him allowing him to help you get through whatever life is going to throw at you. I'm learning lately, pain is a teacher, and we've all learned from it. We've all been through something. And again, this is not downplaying, just give you like an outlet of like, look, there's an outlet that helps you get through stuff in a peaceful manner. It's not going to always look peaceful, but you'll feel the difference. And also, regarding this situation, like also what you said, like, yeah, the Bible was weaponized back then. It was unjust, and it was unjustifiably used to manipulate people of color into slavery, because they used the idea of like, oh, like, slaves, obey your masters. But there's a lot of context with that. The slaves that are described in the Bible are not the kind of slaves that our people were part of 400 plus years ago. That was more of like when you did something wrong, that was their version of prison time at that time, when when that context was written, when God was telling, look, obey your masters as you obey, because it will be like obeying God, because that's a different type of slavery. It's more like prison time. That's not like, oh, you were wrongfully thrown in prison. The situation at hand, I can only pray that the justice system sees that this dude has no real reason to get away with anything, because now you're indulging lawlessness, because what do you, maybe this could help them. If you let this slide, you are saying to everybody and anybody that there is no consequence to anything. Do you really want that on your hands? Really think about that. If you say this dude could get away with that, you can, without realizing, cause your own trouble as well. You end up looking for trouble as well. So I'm sorry for what's going down in Florida. I have friends down there in Florida, especially Latinos and stuff like that. And I had to change the curriculum. I gotta look into that, because I'm like, yo, what's up with this? But I remember curriculums in school being like, now that I look back at it, it didn't feel that diverse. When I look back, I'm like, yo, me and my friend were like, yo, what's really? I don't remember learning too much about brothers or sisters that accomplished a lot. By the time I learned about anything like that, like McCoy and things like that, like guys the brothers of color who invented things that lasted, that are patented, that are not touched. It was like after regular public school. I'm like, yo, so that's crazy. I'm commenting on what everyone's saying, but that's all we could hope for. This dude, you can only leave it to God at this point and pray that the right momentum happens and not the wrong one, because it's exhausting to see this stuff play out for the last 15 years at least. I remember Trayvon Martin. I forgot that the dude was told on the dispatch not to do something. He still got away with that. Why are we killing children?
Yeah, that would be a discussion I would like to have one day about the Bible, just the way it was written, with the King James version anyway. The way it's been used, the books that are left out. A lot of
King James and I think ESV are supposed to be the most accurate. But there are versions that were like a lot are taken out, or a lot of are trying to be rewritten. So it's like, yo, keep the legitimate copies that you have.
Yeah. We know what King James did to get his version wrote, and the fact that even to just say he all the time when the woman has the power to give birth, I would think more the woman has the God element. But anyway, that's a whole nother topic. I think again for this case right here, I'm thinking about our governor, where he said, this governor, he said slaves would not have had the jobs and careers they had they not been slaves. And then I'm also thinking about the slave owner had to be just as psychotic as the slave, because you have to want to keep a person in captivity, you have to be a pretty sick person, especially in the conditions what we're hearing about. So when you're looking at this case, again, back to this guy, he had protections similar to the police. When they do it, they're looking in these files, and they're seeing how many police officers have these secret groups, Klan members. They went and cleaned out one office. I forget exactly in what department, and they found all the robes and all of that for the how the Klan used to act. So in a sense, I'm going to say that this kind of terrorism, because that's what that guy was doing, he was terrorizing people, is still supported, because the one thing that and I don't want to be too long because, like I said, I could go on about this stuff all day. This is like I gave myself a degree in this stuff. This is a country where we had de facto segregation and racism, and then de jure or whatever. Anyway, one was hidden behind the scenes, the predatory bank lending, but then you had the segregation that was legal. It was legal, and I don't care what nobody say. It was legal, and the treatment of certain people was legalized. So because we don't have the power to organize, and there are still powers that be that support this type of behavior, we're going backwards as we speak. And this is upsetting to me because of the fact that a felon can't vote. I know felons who have changed their lives around. They did their time. They served. They repented. They became spiritual. They're out here trying to take care of their kids, and they cannot vote. But it's a felon, a convicted felon in the office. So if that doesn't let you know much, then a lot of times in these cases we'll always be lost because while we know what's going on, we're not organizing against this type of stuff. And again, in this guy's case, not only did he go viral to try to go fund him, that lets you know that there's an element of this society that is still with that. And I'll tell you like this: now that I've straightened up and I'm a civilian, a productive civilian citizen, whatever they want to call it, I wouldn't wish that on nobody. I don't care if they poor, rich, no matter what language they speak. You don't go up to people terrorizing people. Not in this place that's supposed to be the place of the land and the honey and the free. So again, with this, the fact that it's even getting attention is bad because, and we know that in certain cases, all news is good news. Bad news is good news. That what he's done, what he's been doing is disgusting. And at the end of the day, it would be disgusting if anyone did it, no matter what color, and that there should be a conscious effort to scratch that kind of lane. If it's anything like that, whoopty whoop. That should be the first thing flagged on social media because he's not flagged. But if we said something right now, if I said something that they didn't feel right, they'll come and call themselves canceling me or whatever. So that's the kind of stuff should be outlawed, and they're not gonna outlaw it because that stuff sells. And then also, this is the true nature of this country. Not everybody, but whoever is keeping these laws going around and keeping this stuff going, because not everybody's like that. Let me clean that up real quick. But clearly, within some governments and some laws, this stuff is sanctioned, and they are doing their best to bring it back.
Sydney, you had said something earlier that I wanted to revisit, at least just for my final thoughts, because I think everybody touched on something here within the last 40 minutes or so that should be revisited for whoever watches back or is watching now. Just about everything that we consume is being weaponized against us. If you really think about it, it all depends on your perception, right? Because I got a bottle of water here, but it seems like it's just a bottle of water. But I go online and I watch a video about how these plastic bottles contain certain elements in it that could actually do harm to you. You wouldn't really know about that because that doesn't get put in rotation a lot. You think they just got water in the bottle and it's just no, it's more to it. Or you you turn on your favorite YouTuber or your favorite TikToker, and they talking about relationships or whatever the case may be, they're being weaponized against you. Like in some way, it's very dangerous to think that you are just consuming something and there's no side effects or no harm that's going to come with it. Rob, man, you've been cooking. I think, matter of fact, everybody up here has been cooking, but you said, and you reiterate this over and over and over again, and I'm glad you do, because Trump is a prime example of it's like if you watch a movie and you see how time goes in reverse and everything is, you can see exactly what's going on. It's like, yeah, we are some hypocrites, all of us, because guess what? No matter what they are doing, we still have the numbers. We always had the numbers, but we don't want to do anything with it, or enough of us aren't educated enough to move forward with it, and that's sad, because I know we ain't the only ones that don't like seeing what Chud is doing and other people like that are doing. But at some point, if y'all really feel that way, then why don't you come out and support the people who are speaking up against it? You know, Max said it earlier. Y'all let these arrogant people get up here and talk y'all head off. They buying mansions, they buying fancy cars and all of that. And they the most negative people on the internet. Trump just put a ballroom in the White House. What are we talking about? I hope and pray. I don't believe that man is going to get a real hard sentence. He definitely going to do some time. I don't think it's going to be nothing. I think they're going to give him a slap on the wrist in comparison to what he should get. We'll see though. But it's laughable. All of this is laughable. They've already said basically what you said earlier, Rob. And I've said this in other streams. They throw this stuff out here to see how much we'll tolerate, how much we'll let them get away with. They realize that we don't care enough, and they say, oh, all right, so they cool with it. All right, you're not flagging nobody, you're not taking these channels down, they're not doing the things that would give us enough information to react and respond accordingly. So we're going to keep on putting it out there, and until we start doing that, there's not going to be any change. And that's why I believe that this is prophetic. I believe all of this is prophetic, all of it. They manipulated scripture, they manipulated the Bible to their benefit, just like they manipulate sexuality and romance and dating and courting and everything else underneath the sun, and it's been working to their favor. And that's all I want to say about this in general. If y'all want to close out with any final remarks, you got the floor.
I just want to reiterate that I really, really hope he does not get to walk away, because that would be extremely aggravating. And especially because we're currently in a stage where hundreds of criminals are literally walking away because they refuse to release a certain bit of information that is necessary to understand what has been happening. And it's not just that either, but we're also seeing like highly rich fraud participants and money laundering, and I'm pretty sure insider trading is illegal. I'm like, there's so many powerful people that are getting to walk away from crimes. And so to have somebody so blatantly do something to another person with the intent to kill with very flagrant, aggressive, and racist behavior, it would just be a spit in the face of all the Americans that recognize what's happening right now. And it really just signals, if that happens, it would signal that the justice system is truly broken, even at the lowest levels. So yeah, I really hope that he does not walk away, because he definitely does not deserve that.
Yeah. Definitely to what Sydney said. We cannot have that level of lawlessness, even though a lot of stuff happening now is prophetic. I know, Rob, you talked about how the Bible's been weaponized, and I look forward to having an episode devoted to back and forth about things in the Bible, because I know that everyone argues about things being taken out. And it's, for me, I mean, I gotta look into where this is stemming from so much that, like, okay, what's true about it? But what comes to mind every time is that just, you know, just, I tell everyone, look, everything is saying to you, to everybody, that the world is going to do whatever it wants, and eventually, like, as time goes on, you see more evidently why we need to be in Christ, because it's not to say that fighting for things on this earth are not going to have any worth, because clearly a lot, even though a lot has not changed to some people, a lot has, because compared to, I don't know if maybe it's not filmed enough, but compared to what we've learned from just maybe not 60, 40 years ago was in 1984. Yeah, 60 years ago, even 70 years ago, within a century, there were horrible things that happened. There was a time where we couldn't even go to certain stores because we were black, because we looked like chocolate. We didn't look like, you know, we didn't look porcelain white or whatever. And this is a crucial generation. There's both a bad and a good to it, considering all things. And I'll say this because I know that maybe sometimes it's not to downplay anything that happens, because it's true. I get annoyed with the fact that things, that stuff like this happens, that people just get away with being stupid. Stupidity gets so pushed that there are certain movies that had a message 20 years ago that now is coming to light. I look at movies like The Terminator. That, in and of itself, that message is coming true more and more every day. The more Chat GDP comes more alive, the more that AI in general has momentum, to the point where now there's a Netflix documentary on it. Terminator's about being killed by artificial intelligence. In a way, you're seeing that happen. So, it's
Network.
What is that?
I don't know why that does that. I'm still trying to figure that out myself.
Probably enemy tactics. But yeah, my point being, like, look, I know I sound preachy to people out there that are just like, I have a friend who's like, I can't even talk to her about Jesus. She thinks I'm too religious. I'm like, look, I don't mean to sound like I don't sound like a regular person no more. But as time has gone on, maybe it's being desensitized. Maybe it's because a lot has changed. But it's just, look, there's a reason why it says in the word to not be anxious for anything, but to be prayerful for everything, and to be thankful for some things. Because it's not to say that, like, I know I'm going off track, but it's just like, if you really feel if you really believe that there's a way to put a group together to fight against injustice on this earth, then I do it in this order. Start by turning to God and Jesus for how to make that happen without turning it into what has happened before, where destruction became the answer to things. That doesn't help. I don't believe that needs to happen for us to get any momentum, because then what you're left with is a lot of damage that takes forever to recover. Like, and I hate that that's what it took years ago for things to even have a chance. But I would say do that and then come over to strategic matter. That will help. I always said Michael Jackson's "They Don't Care About Us" would be the perfect song to just blast while protesting, because if that doesn't scream relevance, I don't know what will. And that comes from a brother who it would be very hard to catch him even cussing at that time. And I would say go in that order if I'm being honest about how to go about things, because it's peaceful protesting can work. It doesn't have to lead to us everyone acting like we gotta destroy something to do it. It doesn't have to happen. Gandhi did that. He didn't, as far as from what I learned, he didn't have to go to violence to get what he needed done. Do the same here. It doesn't have to involve turning the community into a ball of fire to get the government's attention, because you end up hurting yourself in the process too. If you're gonna get hurt because you've exposed your enemy's tactics, not because you did something that inflicted your own pain. And I know a lot of pain goes around for people. I get it. All right, I get it. So, before anything, turn to Christ and go from there. But make sure that anything that tells you to destroy something, like that will actually hurt your community, don't do it. Don't listen to that voice, because that's not the voice you need to hear.
I dig it. I appreciate your faith. I appreciate you still having hope. What's going on? Chef, you need to come up here, Chef. Quit playing, man.
Yeah, facts. He's always commenting.
Step up here, man. Stop playing, Chef. It's time. See him pull up. But real quick, because I know it's time to go. I want to say this. I used to believe that my vote didn't matter, but then I realized if it didn't matter, then they wouldn't do so much to try to keep me from voting, especially at the local level. So definitely vote. I feel the fact that everybody has a void in their heart, in their mind, that needs to be filled, whatever religion. Because Max, what you're saying, a lot of people will say about Muhammad and Allah, they will say seek them. Some people will say seek Buddha. Some people will say seek Yahweh. You know what I mean? Whatever it is to help you find peace in your heart, I'm with it. Especially if you're doing it in a positive way where you're not hurting others to prove your faith. Because the one thing that out of all of them say out of God's will is for people to show them God's will. So my job is not to necessarily try to convert you, but to show you how blessed I am and let you know that there's the reason I'm blessed, and you're welcome to come over here and not see you as an enemy if you don't. And the last thing I'm gonna say is a universal law that I learned the hard way. Tell you like this: don't start none, won't be none. When you look for trouble, you find it. There's always somebody bigger, and then at the end of the day, you could end up hurting yourself, because regardless of what, this guy right here that was doing all of this, I'm pretty sure he's in an unhappy state right now. And then also a lot of times what you find out, you think that the people there that was riding for you will help you. And in his case, and in most people's case, after they do something like that, there is no help. And the same people that you thought was riding for you, they will turn their back on you faster than you can blink your eye. So think before you act. And again, don't start nothing, won't be nothing. Leave people alone.
Salutes to everybody, man, for this show tonight. A hell of a good job. Shout outs to everybody up here. Shout outs to Chef, the people that tapped in with us. Let me know in the comment section how y'all feel about this whole story. Do you see any changes moving forward? Do you have any suggestions that we could implement as well? Talk to us, you know. We about to get up out of here, but do me a solid before you go, if you don't mind.
What's the goddamn button back?
Peace.
The flow insane. Take my spot, so the range. Shoot my shot with perfect aim. Third degree, that perfect flame. Ain't no sleep, that's the game. Oh, so southern, that's the slang. When they see me, that's the main. Chasing checks and fly like planes. Big old stick, I bought a cane. Flick my wrist and bought the ring. I'm so boss, we're not the same.